It is very sad news that Jessa Duggar has died in a car accident and Ben Sewald has been hospitalized. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The sun rose lazily over Tontatown, Arkansas, casting its golden hue on the sprawling lawns and tall trees. The Duggar home, usually buzzing with the sounds of life, laughter, and the chaos of a large family, stood eerily silent. The world outside kept moving, but inside the house, time had come to a chilling halt. It all began just a week ago. A normal day, Jessa Duggar Sewald had always been the calm amidst the storm, a devoted mother, a loving wife, and a rock in the often turbulent Duggar family waters. Married to Ben Sewald, their love story was one many fans followed since their courtship. Together, they had built a quiet life, away from most of the controversies that plagued her family. July 14, 2025 was supposed to be a normal Sunday. Jessa had planned to take her children for a quick drive through the countryside. Ben, who hadn't been feeling well, chose to rest at home. "I'll be fine, babe." "Just a headache," he had reassured her. Their youngest baby, Miri, had just turned 1. Jessa was planning to pick up a small cake and balloons for a surprise at sunset. No one knew this would be the last moment of peace for the family. The accident at 2:34 p.m., local authorities received a frantic 911 call from a passing motorist on Route 43. "There's been a terrible accident. A car is overturned. Children in the back seat." It was Jessa's vehicle. Skid marks on the road suggested a sudden swerve. Investigators would later theorize that a large deer leapt onto the road, causing Jessa to instinctively jerk the steering wheel. Her car veered sharply off-road, flipped twice, and crashed into a ditch. Within minutes, ambulances and rescue personnel arrived. Eyewitnesses described the scene as devastating. Jessa's SUV was mangled, its windows shattered, tires twisted unnaturally. Miraculously, 2 of her children suffered only minor injuries. Car seats had saved their lives. But Jessa was unconscious, slumped over the steering wheel, blood trailing down her temple. Ben's collapse. Back home, Ben was unaware of the tragedy unfolding. When he received the call from a hospital nurse, his entire world came crashing down. He didn't even finish the conversation. Ben fainted before he could get his shoes on. When paramedics arrived, called by a neighbor who heard a loud thud, they found him on the kitchen floor, semi-conscious and mumbling Jessa's name. First, they feared a stroke. But after examination, it turned out to be a seizure triggered by extreme stress and dehydration, possibly worsened by an underlying infection. Ben was immediately hospitalized. Now, both husband and wife were in critical condition, one in the ICU from a car crash, the other in the emergency room due to a neurological episode. The children were placed under temporary care by relatives, while the world waited for news. Duggar family in disarray. As news spread, media vans parked outside the hospital gates. Fans and followers who had once cheered for Jessa and Ben's courtship, wedding, and growing family were now glued to their screens, praying for updates. Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar rushed to the hospital along with several of their adult children. For once, the family's internal rifts were set aside. Even Jill, who had grown distant from her parents after her husband, Derek Dillard, criticized the family's values and management of TLC show funds, made her way to the hospital with tears streaming down her face. "No matter what's happened between us," she told reporters, "Jessa is my sister. She's my heart." But inside the hospital halls, whispers grew louder. Jessa's injuries were far worse than initially believed. Her skull had a fracture. Doctors feared a possible traumatic brain injury. She was placed in a medically induced coma. Days went by with no improvement. Ben, meanwhile, was awake but weak. "I want to see her," he said repeatedly. But doctors wouldn't allow it. His immune system was too compromised, and Jessa's condition too fragile. Jessa online forums exploded with speculations. Fans panicked when a tabloid posted the headline, "All over for Jessa?" Inside sources say Duggar star may never wake up. Supporters poured out love and prayers on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, using hashtags like #PrayForJessa and #SewaldStrong. One post from Jinger Voilone Duggar read, "I've never felt pain like this. Please God, wake her up. Don't take her. Not now. Not like this." The hospital released a carefully worded statement. Jessa Sewald remains in critical but stable condition. Her medical team is working round the clock. This time we ask for privacy. But the reality behind the scenes was much grimmer. The silence before dawn. 5 days passed. Ben, still in recovery, sat in a wheelchair, his hands trembling as he was finally wheeled into Jessa's room. He reached out and held her hand, cold, unresponsive, but still alive. He whispered scriptures, sang parts of their wedding song, and read letters from their children. "You promised you'd never leave," he said, voice cracking. "I need you. They need you." And then at 3:12 a.m. the monitors beeped. A flicker, a flutter in her eyelids. Jessa stirred. Doctors rushed in. Nurses called for emergency assessments. Ben wept openly, overwhelmed by what he had just witnessed. By dawn, it was official. Jessa had opened her eyes. She wasn't out of the woods, but it was a miracle the doctors had not expected. A long road ahead. Recovery was slow. Jessa had to relearn basic tasks: walking, talking clearly, remembering names. There were moments of confusion, of deep emotional swings, and questions she couldn't yet answer. She remembered the crash, she remembered trying to shield her baby, but what haunted her most was not knowing if Ben had made it. When he wheeled into her room again, this time smiling, still pale but stronger, she broke into sobs. They held each other in silence for minutes. No words could describe what they had both survived. Healing and moving forward. Weeks later, Jessa posted to Instagram from her rehab center, "By the grace of God, I'm still here. I've been given a second chance. Thank you for the prayers, the messages, and the love. We felt it all. I don't know why I was spared, but I promised to live with purpose." The post went viral. Ben too opened up about his experience. "We lost control of everything that day, but God never let go of us. I thought I'd lost her forever. Now every moment is a gift." The children were back with them. Life wasn't back to normal, but it was theirs again. Lessons and legacy. In the months that followed, the couple became advocates for safe driving, trauma recovery, and mental health within faith communities. Jessa even appeared in a documentary, candidly discussing her physical and spiritual journey post-accident. Jim, Bob, and Michelle surprisingly took a back seat in the spotlight. Many saw this as a sign that the older generation was finally letting their children define their own path. Jill and Jessa reconnected deeply. It took near death. Jill admitted, "For us to realize what really matters." The Duggar family, riddled with controversies and media storms, had finally found a chapter worth telling. Not of scandal, but survival, grace, and rebirth. Epilogue. Still here, Jessa walks slowly now, but she walks. Ben's health returned fully. They even took a quiet family trip to the Ozarks. No cameras, no press, just the sound of water, trees, and giggling children. "People say it's all over," Jessa wrote in a journal entry months later. "But I think this was just the beginning." Katie and Jed Duggar admit to having kids at a crazy pace after meeting just 5 years ago. It's been a whirlwind few years for Jed Duggar and his wife, Katie. After all, having 4 kids under the age of 4 would be a lot for anyone to handle. But it seems no one is more aware of just how wild that is than Jed and Katie themselves, who opened up about the crazy pace they started their family during an appearance on the Jinger and Jeremy podcast this week. They met and created a family in the space of 5 years. Jed and Katie sat down with his sister, Jinger Duggar, and her husband, Jeremy Vualo, to record an episode of their podcast, opening up about how quickly they got married and started a family after meeting. Couple tied the knot in April 2021, welcoming son Truett in May 2022. Their daughter Nora followed a year later, and their twins, Elsie and Emma, were born in January 2025. "We've known each other 5 years, Katie said on the podcast. "So when we look at it like that, we're like, wow, this has been crazy." They're currently on a sabbatical from having more kids, though. Now that they're raising 4 children, Jed and Katie admitted that they're planning to pump the brakes for a bit. When Jeremy asked if they were going to keep going, Katie said they're currently on a sabbatical from having babies. "We would love to just enjoy the kids we have right now for a good minute," she told him. "It's an insanely busy season, the little years, especially because we have 2 infants right now. It's just all hands on deck at all times 24/7. Jed and Katie have no plans to have 19 kids like his parents did. Even though Jed and Katie are on track to outpace Jim, Bob, and Michelle, they were very clear on the podcast that they're not trying to break his parents' record. In fact, at this point, they said they're planning to have 5 or 6 kids total, which would mean they'll be winding down this part of their family journey soon, unless they change their minds. Of course, life has been very busy for these two. "When you have twins, you're both doing the same thing at the same time," Katie said. It's not like I'll change them this time. You change them next time. No, we're both changing them at the same time because we've got two at once. But as chaotic as this time must be for Jed and Katie, it doesn't sound like they'd want it any other way. Duggar news. Jed and Katie reveal they broke a shocking record, celebrate big milestone. Since the cancellation of Counting on Jedediah, Jed Duggar and his wife Katie have kept a lower profile. Duggar News followers know that they tied the knot in April 2021 after quietly dating for a year. Couple wed in a private ceremony attended by family and close friends. It was a delight for the viewers to see the Duggar siblings start his happily ever after with the woman of his dreams. Jed had announced their marriage with a heartfelt Instagram post. Everyone melted when he said Katie was the answer to his prayers. Every moment together has been amazing, he wrote at the time in the caption. He described himself as the happiest man in the world to be her husband. 5 years later, Jed and Katie decided to share a major family milestone from their lives. What is it? Duggar News. How many kids do Jed and Katie Duggar have? Since Jed and Katie tied the knot in the year 2021, a lot has happened in their life. They were willing and eager to step into parenthood. As of 2025, the couple now has 4 children, Truett 3, Nora 2 and newborn twin girls Elsie and Emma. Couples spoke about their busy home life on the Jinger and Jeremy podcast. With 4 kids under 4, they said it's been crazy. It really takes them immense effort to hold down the fort. During the episode, Katie described the toddler and infant stage as an insanely busy season. She shared that it's all hands on deck at all times. Jinger, now a mom herself, agreed that it was insane. Well, Duggar News followers were in for a shock when the couple, while talking about their parenting roles, revealed that they ended up becoming the only family among Duggars to have achieved a major milestone. Duggar News. Jed and Katie rejoice while revealing major family milestone. In the same podcast, Jinger and Jeremy asked Jed and Katie if they plan to keep growing their family. Well, Jed said they're just praying about that. Katie added that they're currently on a sabbatical from having more children. Through all, they decided that they want to focus on enjoying the kids they already have. As mentioned above, holding down the fort for 4 toddlers is quite a task for the parents already. Still, both Jed and Katie admitted they have a future number in mind when it comes to family size. We'd love to have 5 or 6 kids, they said. But as of now, they were taking it slow and staying present with their little ones. Well, they also talked about a major milestone Jed and Katie achieved while expanding their family. Their rapid pace of parenting has put them ahead of Jed's parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. That's because back in 1991, their 4th child wasn't born until eldest son Josh was 3. Jed and Katie, in comparison, hit 4 kids in just over 3 years. Jed and Katie celebrated 5 years of knowing each other this year. Katie said in her post that when the couple looked at it like that, they were like, wow, this has been crazy. Keep an eye on TV season and spoilers for more Duggar news.